This is the Brisbane Lions Fancast with Dom Fay and Michael Whiting.
Yes, round one is out of the way, and we have some very positive signs to come out of that match, Mike.
Spot on, Dom. Very positive signs, I think, for Brisbane Lions fans. Certainly can't complain with that performance against Hawthorn. A little bit of a drop-off in the fourth quarter, but there was a distinctive game plan, and the players carried it out quite well for at least 3 quarters until they ran out of legs towards the end. But plenty to be excited about, I'd reckon.
Yeah, without any doubt. Now, obviously, the biggest issue did prove to be what I'd imagine most people thought it would be, and that was scoring. I think we were winning for most of the day, the majority of the statistics that you want to be winning, clearances, contested ball, tackles, all of these things, we were winning them at some stages quite comfortably, even in the second and third quarters. But just going forward at times, Brownie did play well, one of the best games we've seen from him for a while, but we just did seem to be much less effective going forward than the Hawks.
Yeah, there's no doubt about that, but also you're comparing Brisbane against Hawthorn, and Hawthorn are the premiers, so
yeah.
Plenty of scoring avenues. But I think it was encouraging enough. Brisbane had 26 scoring shots, if my maths is right, so they looked dangerous enough. There was a couple of times where it was sloppy entries or whatnot that sort of halted their scoring chances. But I think there was enough to be excited about there. Maybe a lack of scoring options, perhaps. Brownie kicked 4, Trent West kicked 3, Rocky kicked 3. There was not too many goal kickers, but I think they generated enough scores, certainly probably more than I would have thought going into the match.
Yeah, I think that's the thing. We did end up losing by, over 40 points, but we got 91 points against the Premiers, and that's nothing to sneeze at. That's a genuinely good attacking effort from a side that, many wouldn't have predicted that from at all. So there were many of our guys in the game who I think you could talk about and mention, because we did have some very good players on the day. Particularly, I thought Dane Zorko was straight back to his first-year form, if not even above that, after a low second year last year. I was really impressed with Sam Mays. Doesn't look like he's having second-year blues. Aish had a pretty good debut. Green played well. But the one who really surprised me, and we did question his potential selection last week a little bit, was Marco Paparone.
Good, wasn't he? Just almost in that role that we'd sort of spoken about last week. He's almost like a link man, wasn't he? Just a bit of a hit-up forward, and once or twice I noticed a bailout kick from defence. I guess that's just his running power, able to run back down to half back and collect a kick out or whatever. So yeah, he was very good, and he didn't get many stats, Michael, close, but I thought there was enough there to be encouraging. You're not going to be a 19-year-old power forward and dominate your first game, so he didn't get many statistics, but I thought he just competed very well. He was in front in his marking contest. When the ball hit the ground, he was there and thereabouts. So obviously there's a hell of a long way for him to go to be firstly competitive and then impacting on matches as a key forward. But I thought he showed a bit as well. And you touched on Aish there. A very good first match. I think he had 17 or 18 touches. And so I think the young guys certainly contributed first up.
Yeah, Justin Clark also, he was very impressive. The latter half of his season last year was curtailed by injury, but he was right back where he left off. People like maybe Daniel Merritt and Joel Patfull were a little bit rusty, but that's round one and they'll blow the cobwebs out. I think Merritt always takes a few games to get into the season before he's back to his best form.
He does, and he's had a pretty good pre-season, Merritt, but we have to remember he was coming off a broken ankle at the end of last season that cost him a couple of months, sort of around September, October, November, so slightly delayed, but he has had a good pre-season. I also think we talk about new game plans. Those defenders have to get used to that. They're pushing a lot higher up the field now, so there's a lot more opportunities for teams to get over the back of the Lions if there is a turnover and if they do break that initial press. There's chances to get over the back, and the likes of Merritt and Patfull and even young Justin Clark have to sort of adapt to that new way of playing.
In terms of the last quarter fade out, would you put that purely down to exhaustion and them having a better fitness base than us, or do you think maybe it was I suppose that we dropped off in terms of effort of implementing the game plan? What would you put that down to?
I think it's just physically. I just don't think the Lions are quite at that level that they can run out 4 quarters, and Justin Lepich's style is quite an up-tempo, aggressive style of game. So players from the defence to the half-backs to the midfielders, they all have to push up and they all have to push back. So it's quite a taxing game plan. And I just don't think a lot... it's quite a young team. Another pre-season or two maybe, who knows, they might be able to adapt a bit quicker. But just a very taxing style of game that may be prone to struggling at the back end.
Yeah, well, one thing that has come out of the game that's caused a lot of talk is Tom Rockliff's one-match suspension.
Hasn't it? What? I've been getting hammered on Twitter, Dom. I'll tell you.
See, now, my opinion on the matter is that for me, and there are many who'll disagree with me, but to me, that's a suspension every day of the week. You can't be doing stuff off the ball.
I can't believe we're going to agree here, but we are, because I'm the same. I just think it's exactly what you said. It's off the ball. You can't do that. No matter what people think of Sam Mitchell, or no matter what they think of how hard Rocky hit him or where he hit him, or you just can't do it. It's off the ball. Sam Mitchell's not expecting it. It's just not right.
I try to apply the filter of what if this happened to the Lions, and
Correct.
I reckon if it happened the other way around, if Sam Mitchell did that to Tom Rockliff, Lions fans would be absolutely ropeable if Sam Mitchell got off without a suspension. So
No doubt about that.
I think I do understand a little bit of the anger in the sense that I think it's a consistency issue. There's people who are upset that, to be honest, I thought Josh Gibson probably should have copped a week 2 for his hit on Michael Close, and there are many people who think that, similar incidents to this one will go unpunished throughout the season, which they may well. And I can understand the frustration from a consistency point of view, which is always the big issue with the MRP from fans' perspectives. But I think on the whole that was a suspension, and that was the right decision.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. And I think you're right about the consistency thing. And I guess we'll only know that as the season goes on. There seems to have been a slight change in umpiring interpretations. Maybe there is in MRP interpretations as well. People can't guess what's going to happen for the rest of the season. But you're right on the Rockliff incident. I think he can't complain. I know the club wasn't really complaining. I mean, maybe they thought it was slightly on the tough side, getting 2 weeks brought back to 1. But there's no doubt it was intentional. You can't argue when it's, 30 to 50 metres off the ball. So there was no way the Lions could argue that down.
Yeah, most upsettingly, I think a lot of Brownlow bets for Tom Rockliff got sunk in round 1.
I often wonder whether that's where a lot of fans' frustration comes from, whether it's Brownlow betting or dream teams or super coaches or any other fantasy football. So there's a lot of frustration coming from fans.
Yeah, understandably in that sense, I suppose. Now we look forward to this Sunday's match, which, obviously the last time that Geelong came up to the Gabba was one of the most memorable sporting moments I think any of us will have in our entire lives. It was an unbelievable day, round 13 last year. Can we repeat it this Sunday?
It was pretty incredible. And also, we just have to look back to round 23 last year down in Geelong. So the 2 matches last year were both decided by kicks near enough to the siren. I mean, Ash McGrath's after the siren. In round 23, it was Ryan Lester's as the siren sounded being touched on the line. So 2 pretty amazing contests last year. So I certainly give Brisbane a good chance on Sunday. I mean, I didn't think they'd have much of a chance against the Hawks, and ultimately it panned out like that. But I think there are more than a fighting chance against Geelong on Sunday. Geelong very impressive against Adelaide in their first match last Thursday. It's likely to be hot in Brisbane. The game's at 12:10, and I think that's going to be a talking point as the game draws closer. But Brisbane were very impressive last week. They surprised me. I mean, I've seen a lot of them during the pre-season in training and in games, and they were very impressive against Hawthorn. I think they've got a fighter's chance against the Cats.
Yeah, come out with that kind of attitude and application, and anything could happen. Just a few little selection issues. Jackson Payne in his first NEFL match played very well. I've heard it was only a practice match, but he was very lively up forward. I'm not sure there's a place for him yet. He'll probably have to have a few weeks of sustained form.
I think
Luke,
you're right.
Yeah, Luke McGuan though, is he good to go?
No, he still seems a little way off. So don't expect Luke McGuan back this week. There's no real time frame on him, but it's unlikely that he'll play at any level this week. So, I mean, we don't know at this stage, but I would think the Lions would be tempted to use a very similar team to last week.
Yeah.
Other than Rockliff.
So Rockliff out, and then who comes in? Obviously, the options are you've got Andrew Rains as someone who could step in. You could go for another debutant in someone like a Nick Robertson. You could bring in Rowan Buick. There's a few options there, but where do you reckon?
I tend to sit with your first 2 options there. I think it's either Rains or Robertson, depending on which way Justin Lepich wants to go. I mean, he used Rockliff in a defensive role last week on Sam Mitchell, so if he wants a like for like, Andrew Rains gets a sniff, doesn't he? Because he can play a lockdown role on a Joel Selwood. But I mean, I'd probably be more inclined to go the rookie path or the debutant path, as Lepper's been shown that he's a fan of in round 1. I think Nick Robertson would be worth a game. I mean, he's had quite a good pre-season. I think if he gets picked, he might make a good sub. I guess we'll see, but either of those options would be fine with me.
Yeah, no, it will be a very interesting game on Sunday. Also, the 100th game for both Jack Redden and Daniel Rich, which when I first heard that this was coming up a few weeks ago, I kind of stepped back and thought, that's happened quickly. They've gotten there pretty quickly, haven't they?
They certainly have. I mean, they were drafted in the same draft, obviously, at the end of 2008, and Daniel Rich just went bang, didn't he, in his first game? And I think a lot of people remember that first game against West Coast with his blonde hair and his long kicking and whatnot, and he was a Rising Star nominee straight away and had a great first year. And Jack Redden sort of snuck up on everyone, didn't he? Like he had to wait till round 15 that year, ironically against Geelong as well, in a win for the Lions. But he's now played his 100th game will be 100 in succession, which is pretty rare feat. So
yeah,
you're right. They're very early into their 6th season of AFL footy, and to reach 100's a great effort from the pair of them.
There's a lot to look forward to in Sunday's match. One talking point will be a former Geelong player coming up against his former team. That is Trent West, and we'll be chatting to him on the Fancast after this.
The best way to keep track of everything Lions is to head to lions.com.au. It's the first place to find the latest Lions news and videos, get the lowdown on upcoming games, results, and player stats. There's also great ways to interact with live chats, downloads, and Player of the Year voting updates. And with a social media hub, you can connect with all the Lions' social media activity. Lions.com.au. Everything Lions, all in one place.
He kicked 3 in his debut for the club on the weekend, and round 2 sees him coming up against his former club in the Cats. We're joined on the Fancast today by none other than Trent West. Trent, how did you enjoy your first match as a Lion?
No, it was good, mate. Yeah, it was a bit of a build-up, I guess, to get out there in a different jumper. But no, I really enjoyed it.
Trent, can you tell us, I guess, your dual role with Matthew Leuenberg? I know it was something he was really looking forward to sharing the duties. How did you find your first hit out in that regard?
Yeah, I mean, it's something that we've got to develop, and I guess hopefully it'll get better over time, being able to spend a bit of time forward, the both of us, and also in the ruck, more importantly. So I guess the more games we play together, the better that that's going to work out. So fingers crossed it grows and gets better, and it works well.
Were you guys proud, I suppose, of how you played? Were you disappointed? What was the feeling coming out of the match? I mean, it was a really good effort, but obviously a bit of a drop-off at the end. What was the feeling amongst the team afterwards?
Yeah, I mean, it's always disappointing to lose, but they're a quality side, Hawks, and have been for quite some time now. And we managed to match them in some areas for 3/4 of the game. In the last quarter, they managed to run away a bit from some small errors and things that we'll be able to fix up. So if we get 4 quarters put together, I'm sure it'll be the difference.
Just on that last quarter, Trent, what did you put that down to? Was that just a bit of fatigue, or just Hawthorn's class sort of overrunning you in the end?
Oh, I'm sure there were several things, but they got some standout players that are always going to step up. But small things, missed tackles and that sort of thing will always play a part, and minor things like that. So we'll work on those things and hopefully grow and get better from that.
Now, obviously, you have only been at the club a short amount of time. You were traded last trade period, and from memory, at the time, you were a little bit shocked, I suppose. Maybe it was a bit of a shock to the system being traded to Brisbane, which you probably didn't really see coming a few weeks before the trade period. How have you settled in, and are you happy up here at the moment?
Yeah, it was a bit of a shock to start with, but once I agreed to go, I had to buy into it, and and I've really loved the challenge so far. It's been pretty exciting, and obviously different climates and all that sort of thing, and it's all been really different for me, but that's probably been good. It's been good to change up a pre-season and be in a different destination and doing different things, and I've settled in pretty well, I think.
Obviously, you had some success at Geelong, Trent, playing in a premiership. Can you tell us what it was like to, for Geelong to tell you that you weren't in their plans any longer, that they wanted to trade you? Like, how did that sort of sit with you at the time?
Yeah, it wasn't so much like that. I was still contracted there for another year, and had the option to stay there if I wanted to. So it was completely in my court whether I wanted to go or not. I just had to weigh up what Brisbane wanted to do and what the future looked like at Geelong. with me personally, and I guess if I didn't, I just had to make a decision really, and and like I said before, once I made a decision, I had to completely buy into it, and just get up here and do what I have to do.
There's been a lot of talk about the Lions off-field culture in the off-season and then the pre-season. Obviously, you've come from what many would say is the most successful culture, most successful club of the past 10, 15 years. I'm just wondering how you found the culture up here. Does it compare? Is it far off?
I guess most clubs are probably doing a similar sort of things with, leadership side of things. But, cultures are pretty similar, to be honest. I think... there were a few young guys that obviously left last year. That was before I got there, and I haven't really. I'm not too familiar with what actually happened there. But it's definitely since I've come in, it's I've really enjoyed it, and I think the guys are heading in the right direction. And I don't see any dramas at all with the culture. I've really enjoyed it.
Now on to Sunday's match, Trent. Obviously, you probably had this one circled on the calendar once you saw the draw come out. You're really looking forward to playing the old team.
Yeah, it'll be good, mate. It's a little bit weird. I think it's always going to be, and it's good that the game's at this end of the season, so we can crack into it and get it out of the way and move on. Obviously, they're a great side and well respected and have been for quite some time now. So it'll be a tough match in itself, but. I'm sure I've just got to push the emotion side of it aside and go out there and play footy.
Obviously, you were part of the club last year, so you were around. Obviously, you didn't play against the Lions, but you were around for that round 13 match. What did it shell shock the club for that week afterwards? And do you think that the club will definitely not be taking you guys lightly this weekend as a result?
Yeah, for sure. I don't think any club takes any team lightly. That's for sure, but. They'll be coming up here to win, and we'll be going out there to win as well. So it'll just come down to whoever plays the best footy on the day, I guess. And it probably did hurt Geelong last year to lose that game, and Brisbane will want to build on top of that. So we go out there and try our best, and the better team will come away with the 4 points.
And just personally with your own ruck battle, you obviously come up against Hamish McIntosh. Is there any sort of substance to the thought that players have points to prove against their old club, or do you have to sort of put that aside?
Not really. I didn't really train or play as such with Hamish. He was only there for the year while I was there, and he was injured for a little bit of that, most of that. So. But he's a great ruckman, and when he's up and going, and he'll be tough to get hold of. We just got to do everything we can to combat that.
Well, all the best in your first game against your old club on Sunday. Hopefully, the Lions can get their first win for the year.
No worries. Thanks, guys.
This week's game is, of course, against Geelong. Now, there were two brilliant games against the Cats last year, Mike, and this weekend we come up against them again. They're almost becoming now, after those two games, a bit of a rival. Yeah,
it is. I guess we'll see what happens on Sunday, but those two games last year were thrilling, the pair of them, for different reasons. Brisbane was the big comeback victory at round 13 in the Gabba, finishing with the after the siren victory, and round 23 was nip and tuck the whole way. Brisbane were terrific that day, so can't wait to see what happens on Sunday. Who are you going?
I reckon Geelong this week. I did tip us last week against Hawthorn. Look, honestly, I think we're going to be right in this match and right there with a chance. The loss of Rockcliffe just sways me towards thinking Geelong will get over the line.
I'm a bit with you. I just don't have the pills, for want of a better term, to pick Brisbane. So I think they'll be right in it, though, and I wouldn't be totally shocked if they did spring another surprise, although Geelong will come here with a point to prove. They won't want to let Brisbane get under their skin like they did last year.
Yeah, I think it's also a bit tough to tell after only one round whether Geelong were good against Adelaide, or maybe Adelaide won't be thereabouts. It's a bit hard to get any read on form for a few more weeks yet, so you've kind of just got to go off a bit of a gut feel, and that tells me this week that Geelong will just get over the line. But I think it will be a great match regardless. It is at the Gabba at 12:10 p.m. on Sunday. And followed by a new initiative, Kirshen closes NEAFL games. The reserves will be playing on the Gabba against the Swans reserves afterwards at 3:15, which will be really interesting to see.
It will be. I'll be interested to see how many people stick around and watch, because it's the early start, 12:10 for the seniors, so it's not late in the day when the reserves run out at 3:15. So I'm sure a few people will stick around and have a look at the next wave of Lions coming through.
Yeah, I'm sure Jimmy Bartell and Jonathan Brad never thought they'd be playing a curtain raiser again. But that's how it's playing out. We will be back next week to review the match and look forward to round 3, another Q clash, which will be very exciting too. For now, that's the Fancast. Bye.
See ya.